Good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar on buying in Italy. This is the first of two of our masterclass sessions on Italy in this month-long digital event for A Place in the Sun. And it's one of my favourite, and I'm really, really excited to be talking to two experts here this afternoon about this. This first part is going to try and give you an idea of where to choose in Italy. It's such a wonderful place, lovely, diverse options from sea, mountains, countryside, beautiful cities. So it's hard to choose. We're going to have a look at some areas and types of property, and then we'll focus on some more of the nitty-gritty of the legal process of buying and residency, etc. tomorrow. So if you've got any questions, there's a Q&A bar at the bottom. Do ping them over during the webinar, and we'll try and get to them in this session. My name's Liz Rowlinson. I'm a property journalist for 20 years for the national newspapers. Write about Italy a fair amount, as much as possible. And I'd like to introduce my panel. We've got Stefano Lucatello.
Hi Liz. Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stefano Lucatello. I'm an English solicitor. I'm Italian by background, parents both Italian. And my specialism is buying property abroad and representing clients who buy abroad in, amongst other countries, Italy. My firm is called Cobalt Law. We're based in Chelsea, and we have bilingual and bi-qualified lawyers throughout the team in many, many jurisdictions. And we're here to help you and answer your questions as much as we can.
Brilliant. And Nathanja Van Beem, you're in an olive grove, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Actually, it's the olive grove of my house. So that's right. Hello, everybody. My name is Nathanja Van Beem. My company is called Italian Property International, and I'm a Dutch real estate agent, but I live here in Italy, and we sell houses all over Italy to foreign people especially. So a lot of English people who are interested. So that's what we do. I'm based in the center of Italy, in Abruzzo.
So the green heart of Italy.
Exactly.
And it's wonderful that Italy is one of the places that we can fly to at the moment here in the UK without having to quarantine when we get back. So, I know a lot of people who are, luckily I've just got back from Italy, and I see that the Prime Minister's partners in Italy at the moment. So it's people should go out and look at property while they can.
Exactly.
So to cover, but we're gonna take a look at a map in a minute. But Stefano, can you first up talk about the things that you have to consider when approaching where to buy in Italy? I mean, obviously a lot of people have family connections, which dictates where they might buy. But can you flag up the different issues of access, landscape, the different cost as well?
Yeah, I mean, Liz, it's the same for any country, really. You really need to know whether you want to buy inland, in the mountains, in the Sierras in Spain, in the Apennine, which runs throughout the whole of the spine of Italy, the Apennine Mountains, or whether you want seaside. So do you want the Med or do you want the Adriatic? I mean, for me, I think of the two, I'd be choosing the Adriatic if I was going to a seaside resort. I'd be choosing somewhere like the Marche region, where my own family has a home. And the advantage, for example, of the Marche region to any other region is that you've got ski resorts and you've got seaside resorts, within 40 minutes of each other. So if you're strategically placed in the Marche region, you can go to both. And if you've got a family, you can satisfy them one day in the mountains, walking them to death, and the next day on the seaside, sanding them to death with castles and whatever. So that's the sort of things that we'd be looking at. I think the first thing the buyer needs to know is, what does he want? Does he want countryside? Does he want seaside? Once you've done that, then you can delve a little deeper and start going into the regions of Italy and seeing which is best. It also depends on budget, because of course you can go to areas like Puglia on the Adriatic and the heel of Italy, where you can get some fantastic bargains, very low costs. Abruzzo as well. Nathania will tell us all about Abruzzo. But there are some areas like Tuscany, you go to the Med side, and even Umbria now is catching up with Tuscany in many places, where you pay a lot more for something that you can get almost the same, but because it's Tuscany, it's Tuscany, it's Tuscany, it has an extra naught or two at the end. So be careful. The first thing also is the budget. How much do you have? And always remember that for Italy, unless you're going for prima casa, which is your main home, and where you pay only 2% stamp duty, you'll be paying 9% stamp duty. So you need to budget, in my view, if it's a second holiday home or a holiday home, you need to budget 13, 14% on top of your purchase price. So you need to be careful. And a number of times, Liz, that I've got clients that come to me and they forget about, they say, oh, I want to buy something for 100K. And the first question I always say is that including costs or is that excluding costs? So if it's excluding costs, add another 13, 14% on top of that. So that's my starting point with clients. And then we can delve a little deeper into, particular areas of that region, villages, whatever.
Brilliant. And we've actually got a question on the back of your what you've just said, Stefano. Lucy asks, what region did Stefano just mention? Well, you mentioned several, but I think she was saying about the mountain and the sea. It was Le Marche.
Yes. We call them in English, they call them the Marches in English, but it's called Marche, M-A-R-C-H-E, on the Adriatic. And as I say, you've got beautiful mountain ranges where you can go and ski, and also sea areas like Civitanova.
I'm going to point it out on the map here, which it's just sort of there, isn't it?
Just above, it's north, it's further north, that's it, where you are now.
Round about there, okay.
Yeah. So you've got places like Civitanova, and, you're talking, those are beautiful, Fermo, and areas like that. There we are. San Benedetto del Tronto is.
Oh yes, that's got a wonderful palm tree lined promenade. I remember. Right. That's great.
That's right. Those are the stars of the Marche region. I mean, we have a house which is just north of Ascoli Piceno, towards the south of the Marche, nearly into Abruzzo. Beautiful areas. Remember though, guys, that wherever you buy, especially in Abruzzo. Abruzzo and the Marche are plagued by earthquake. And so that is a big consideration. And as Nathaniel will no doubt tell you, because she lives in Abruzzo, and so you've got to be very careful when you're thinking about it. It's a shame that the Apennines run from north to south in the spine of Italy, so you're likely to get it anywhere really in Italy. So but that's a secondary.
But the advantage of that is that you can ski in every region of Italy. I'm a keen skier, apart from Puglia, because you have that. So, but we're going to come on to your part, Nathania. But I'm just showing on the map. You've got Pescara Airport and Ancona. Those are the two access points, aren't they? For
I mean, for the Marche, Liz, because when I was a young kid and we used to go to our house, it used to take us 5 hours, 6 hours to get from Rome to across to the Marche region. Now there's I can never remember which number it is, but now there's the big autostrada which opened many years ago. So you can go from Rome airport, like Fiumicino, Ciampino, across country in less than 3 hours. You can get to the Marche region. So even Rome is a couple of hours away, 2.5 hours away.
Brilliant. Okay, going across. Okay, brilliant. Well, Nathania, so how do you advise? Stefano made a really good point about sea versus country. How do you approach buyers? What do buyers come to you with? What are their sort of decisions to make?
Well, I totally agree with Stefano about the Marche. Abruzzo has the same also with the higher mountains. So Abruzzo has all the landscapes together, the sea, the hills and the big mountains until 2,900 meters height, the Gran Sasso. But it depends what you want. It also depends on your budget. As Stefano said, in the middle of Italy, in the south of Italy, prices are really lower than in the north. It also depends on the climate. There are differences between the north and the south. In the winter it is you can ski in the middle. In the summer you have more warmth in the middle, and in the south it is hotter. Things like that are clear. In the middle of Italy, you have the mountains. So if you like the mountains, you should choose something up here. But also, if you like the mountains, in the north, you have good areas. To walk, to ski, to do all the things you like. So
Brilliant.
it depends on what you want. But in the north, the prices in general are really higher for the things that you buy. That is absolutely true.
Sure. And in the south, you've got the better climate, haven't you? In terms of reliable, complete sun, warm sun a lot of the year. So
exactly. On the other hand, in the really of the south, like Sicily and here, it can also be very hot especially in August. I always say the first 2 weeks of August, they could be hot. And in the rest of the year, we have sunshine, we have sea, we eat outside. You just have outside living. It's terrific.
Yes, it was kind of 39 degrees when I was in Sardinia. It was very hot.
That's a little hot.
Stefano, so you've got, thank you. You met, I think you're quite fond of Umbria. If you sort of talk about sort of some other areas that you can just flag up what they might offer to buyers.
I mean, Umbria.
Sorry.
Umbria has some fantastic areas, and it's true to say that if you go towards the border, Liz, of Umbria and Toscana, you're able to find very much of what you find in Toscana, but in Umbria at a lesser price, if you see what I mean.
Is that Lunigiana?
No, it's
further up.
Yes, it's slightly further up. It's sort of, I mean, you can, if you go northeast of Perugia.
Lucca.
Northeast of Perugia, you've got Città del Castello. Città del Castello is what I think is one of the most beautiful parts of Umbria, that sort of area there. The prices are great for walking, fantastic weather. I've got a couple of clients who are buying vineyard areas, grape areas there, sort of thing. So you can get lots of what you get in Tuscany, but you get in Umbria. The other thing I was going to say to you is on something that Nathania said was, I'm finding at the moment that clients are instructing me to buy in Piemonte. In the Piemonte region, it's not as expensive. It's, for some reason, the prices have come down. And also we've got a client who's buying in Asti, and he's buying some land for a silly price. For some reason in Piemonte, east of Turin, west of Turin, south of Turin, prices are going down for some reason. I don't know why. It's a different area. You've got to be ready to be suffering a bit of damp. And if you like walking, great area to walk in. Those are hill climbing areas of Piemonte. So get your boots on and that's great. But if you want to embark on a vineyard career, then Piemonte, Asti region, Asti Spumante is a great area to go and buy in. But yeah, Umbria is a nice area. I like Umbria. It's right in the middle of England, isn't it? In the middle of Italy. And it affords access to everywhere, especially from Rome Airport. You're very much close. You've got Perugia Airport as well. Great in and out. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Nathania, are you seeing buyers? Have you got buyers coming out all the time now, or from the UK, or where are you seeing interest?
Well, the people that contact me, in fact, they are really looking for a certain type of house. So some are looking for a second home. It could be a single house with a garden and an olive garden, and they want to be close to the sea, or they want to have view on the hills. Other people are looking to start a bed and breakfast. Other people are really looking for a big house with a swimming pool. Other people are looking for a place in the village. So I always start with what kind of type of house you're looking for. And then we can see about the region, or they have a preference for the region, of course, also that. At the moment, I have a lot of interest for Sardinia. I don't know why, but I think it is because it has been in some television shows abroad. And people see the landscape and really love it. About Sardinia, it's a beautiful island, but there are differences. The north is more expensive than the south,
Yes.
but also the south is more quiet. So I always suggest, please come over, do a big orientation, and have a look about what scenery you like. Where do you want to live?
Yes.
That is the biggest advice I have. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, the Costa Smeralda, we're just looking at Sardinia there. The Costa Smeralda at the top is a very much a pocket of extreme luxury, and the rest of it is not so expensive by a long shot.
Exactly.
So we've started at the south and we're going up, but there we'll go back to the top. But there's Sardinia, and then if we go back, I think we've talked about Piedmont up here. And we've got the Alps. We've got all the wonderful bits accessible from Milan. What about the Italian lakes, Nafanja? You have an interest there?
Still very popular. And it's also because it is more in the north, so the distance to travel is shorter. People choose to buy something in the north because they can easily go by car. From England, you always have to fly. So no, you can also take the car, of course, but that is a shorter distance. But the climate is also different, and there's a lot of rain in the north. So that should also be said. But really, the lake region is always very popular, but the houses are very luxurious, are also more expensive. But it is,
But you can find cheap pockets anyway, can't you? Because I know that the north bit of Lake Como is much less expensive than the expensive left-hand leg of the bottom, and etc. There's micro markets, isn't there? So
yes, of course.
And then we've talked about Venice. Stefano, you know Venice well.
Yes, my father's side of the family is originally from Venice, so I know Venice like the back of my hand. It's a great place. My view is that if you're buying in Venice, you will have to have 800,000 euros plus.
Yes.
The second thing is that you want to be buying on the first floor upwards, not on the ground floor, which borders the water, the high and low tide marks. And you really, Venice is for adults. I always say this: if people are going to Venice, people should not be going in prams with newly born kids. It is an adult play area as far as I'm concerned. I make no bones about that, because I think the number of times I go to Venice and I see people struggling across the Ponti, all the bridges with walkers and whatever. Venice is not made for prams. It's made for people to put the boots on and walk from one end to the other and get lost. And the nice thing about Venice is you can get lost. I go back every year usually. I always just let myself wander, because you can't get lost in Venice. You either go towards the station, or you go in the middle to the Rialto, or you go to Piazza San Marco. You can't get lost, and it's an adventure. And if you like strolling into dead ends and looking at architecture, and the other thing is, in Venice, always look up, because there is loads to look above your eye level on the first floor upwards. Many of the beautiful buildings have their excellent architecture from the first floor upwards. And then the other thing is, I was born in Hull in Yorkshire, with a port, and I love water. I always get on the number one water boat, which goes from the station all the way to the other end of Venice. Just get to the back, go all the way to the back of the ship, if you can get the place, and just sit there. It costs you €2, and you can enjoy it. It's like a free, it's almost a free water ride, and the architecture you can see is absolutely splendid. And then get a boat across the Lido to the Lido, and go across and see the other parts. Go and see the islands. They are fantastic. Go and see the glass blowing on
Murano.
Murano, yes.
Yeah.
Go and see the lace making in Burano, Burano, where every door has a different color, and there's fantastic. You can go and see Attila's chair on Burano and sit on his chair.
Right. Well, that's a few brilliant tips there on Venice. We must whiz down the leg of Italy because we've got some more to cover. I mean, we've touched on Tuscany at the beginning and Florence. We've got there Umbria. Got affordable bits of Tuscany, the coast less so, and then we moved down to Rome and Le Marche, and then we've got the quite expensive area around Naples, very popular with the Italians in the summer, the Amalfi Coast, which is not a big market for British buyers. But then Puglia, which you've alluded to already. You have, it's been very popular this summer from what I can gather, with particularly Milanese buyers coming down and getting summer retreats for the next lockdown in Puglia. Do you sell in Puglia, Nathania?
Yes, we do. And in general, we have two types of clients who are interested in Puglia. There's the type of client that wants something simple in nature, and then you can really find good bargains, very nice houses for a low price. And Puglia in this moment is like a new Ibiza for the very wealthy people.
Yes.
Very famous people. It's like a new discovered spot. You need to go to Puglia. And they want the big houses, all luxury, things like that. So that is the two things in Puglia. But also I have to warn, I don't know if it's allowed in a webinar. Yeah, I have to do that. Because in Puglia, you really have to be very, you have to
use a lawyer,
attentive.
Yeah.
Yes, when you buy real estate, that counts for whole of Italy, but also a lot for Puglia.
I think you could say that
there's a lot of Stefano, that is your area. I'm always very precise in buying, so yeah.
Yeah, no, you touched on you segued nicely into my next point, which was for Stefano, about the south of Italy, which we all know has a famously corrupt past and maybe even present. But Stefano, I mean, yes, using a lawyer like yourself in buying in Italy we always advise. But why particularly in the south? And we've got Calabria, Matera, we've got other bits here, Sicily. Why is it so important?
It's traditionally been the corrupt part of Italy, unfortunately. So you've got areas, I mean, Lamezia Terme is the airport into that area. I've done a lot, and a lot of the scams that happened in the 2007, 2008 were all around Vibo Valentia, Catanzaro, and that sort of area. It's a shame because they're beautiful areas. You have to be very careful. It's 'ndrangheta territory, not mafia territory. It's 'ndrangheta territory. As long as you don't go in and start doing any of what they do, let's be honest, then they won't. You never see them. You never probably. There's a place called Bianco where local people never look you in the eye. They're said they always look away. They'll always look down. You have to be very careful. In the south of Italy, we always advise using someone who is trustworthy, whether it's someone in England who knows the territory or whether it's someone over there. Be careful. We have also had experiences of the notai, the notaries, who are there to regulate the final deed, giving problems, doing things they shouldn't do. And then you have to sue the notaio because they have an indemnity insurance like we do as lawyers. So be very, very careful. On occasions, Liz, we have actually said to clients, do not use notai in that area, because of course, remember that if you go to Italy, like France, Spain, or anywhere else, you are not obliged to use a notaio in that area. You can use a notaio anywhere within the Republic of Italy. So go perhaps somewhere else and they will regulate the activity for you and do a job 100%. It's unfortunate because it's a beautiful part. I mean, your arrow's pointing in Taranto. That's another.
Yes, that lovely bit of.
It's a lovely area. It's a very strange, it's a very corrupt area. So you have to be very careful. So if you go onto the east coast, like Ostuni, the White City.
That is beautiful.
It's beautiful. You've got the two airports there. You've got Brindisi on the south and Bari on the north.
Yeah.
And if you go further south, you've got Lecce. I mean, Lecce, the beautiful walled city.
Oh, yeah.
Lecce.
Florence of the South, supposedly.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
That's right. And if you go right down to the point, Santa Maria di Leuca, that is the Playboy area. That's where all it's the equivalent of the Costa Smeralda in Sardinia, and that is very famous now and very popular with Russians and people who now moor their boats no longer in the other parts of the Med, but they're coming to that sort of area of Italy. But yeah, be careful in general.
Oh yeah, I heard the Beckhams were in Puglia this summer, weren't they?
Yep.
Talking of celebs. Okay, well look, we've had a whiz round there, and just to quickly before we lose the map, I mean, Abruzzo is your home patch,
Yes.
Nathania. I mean, just briefly, you know, tell us why the Abruzzo is, you know, such a, why it's a lesser known area for buyers, but why should
Yes.
they have a closer look at it?
Well, I live in Abruzzo, and it is by far my most favorite area.
Yeah.
But it's also close to the Marke, of course. It has the roughness. You have the high mountains. You have the hills with the olive gardens. You have the wineries, and you have the sea. And the sea has the sandy beaches. You have the stone beaches. You have the Trabocchi beaches. This is a very typical way of fishing in Abruzzo. You can ski. There's a lot of nature. The Abruzzo area is also called the greenest area of Europe. And in Abruzzo is a very big English community. So a lot of English people live in Abruzzo. There's good contact. Yeah, I just love it. I just love it. It's beautiful. Also castles, culture, little villages. It is cheap. We buy a euro pizza, euro coffee, but I think that is in more regions. That is not specific. And the people are friendly. We have beautiful food, very nice food. The major Stefano that is close to you, Teramo, is famous for the Italian food. The Teramo kitchen, in fact, it represents the Italian kitchen, but the Italian kitchen is different in all the regions.
Yes, that's why it's so wonderful.
The food
you've got
is
the wine,
terrific.
Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. We've got wine.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
You need a good 4x4, guys, if you're going in the winter, though.
Yeah,
Right.
when you go more in the inland, that is true. You need a good. You have some roads that are not really good stable, but it also has beautiful roads, good to go, and the area at the sea is very developed. You can buy beautiful houses for low prices, an apartment for 100,000 at the beach, things like that. It's incredible. So that's the difference between the area at the coast, where you also do not have the risk for the earthquakes. The earthquake risk, which has been mentioned, I think, by Stefano, it is really here in the middle, in the Apennines, when you and a little bit around. But the sea area is really safe, and within an hour you can ski. From where I live at the sea, we take 30 minutes, and I go skiing, and we go skiing, and we look at the sea. It's Yeah,
you're right, because I think there was a big earthquake in L'Aquila, wasn't there? And that's
but that is here in the middle.
In the middle,
yes.
Okay.
And I also prefer not to sell houses there, but regarding to that point, I have to say, when you buy a house in Italy, and that counts for whole Italy, you really should check the structure of the building, the constructional part. We do also constructional checks, and the houses that are damaged, normally they are very old and they don't have the good constructions.
You could get special insurance. I know in the market where we are, we suffered the facial cracks 4 years ago, and we're still dealing with insurance companies. That's the other thing. You need
but they don't do it right now.
You need insurance for earthquakes, and the rebuild will include like a band of metal that goes all the way around the circumference of the what they call the foundation. Sorry, to keep the house intact, and the roof has a special structure to it. But the insurance companies are notoriously slow. As I say, we're still 5 years on. We're still haggling with the insurance company to get the monies out of them to do the full repairs. So it's
Okay.
it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, and you touched on surveys. A geometra is a slightly, it's not exactly the same as a surveyor in the UK, is it? But
it's a sort of a half. He's a sort of a halfway house between a surveyor and an architect.
Yeah.
Because when we always, although it's not done in Italy, as an English lawyer dealing abroad and being Italian as well, but we always say to clients, if you're English and you're used to having a survey, whether it's your own money or whatever you're borrowing, have a survey done. And we're getting people more and more into the thing of doing them. So we will always instruct a local geometra, always instruct a local one, because he will be cognizant of all the locality and whether it's mountainous, and he will know of everything. Don't instruct a geometra from out of the region. Pay €1,000. And I always say to clients, I'd rather you lose €1,000 than you lose 100,000, 200,000 euros when you actually go through it and buy it, the transaction. But yeah, they're a halfway house because they will also do searches for you. They will do what's called the visure tecniche, the visure ipotecaria, which is the mortgage searches and the electronic searches online, and hand them to me to look at, and then I can do a report on title to the client.
Okay, we've got a question which I'm going to ask you both. I'm sure you'll have some different suggestions. Kate O asked, what about large towns? I love Florence, but can't afford it. Looking for somewhere that has lots of bars, restaurants and culture in the winter. So we've already touched on Lecce in Puglia, but where else would you, Nathania first, where else might you flag up?
Well, I think when you go to a rather big town, it is always alive, also in winter times. Only between 1 and 4, you find no one in the street. But in the evening, you can easily go to any bigger town, and there will be life also in the winter. That's a very thing. Liz, can I mention something about a former subject?
Yeah.
Because we were just, we were just talking about the geometras in Italy. Yeah. But I need to add to that, the geometra knows everything about catastro and the drawings and things like that of the house. But he is not allowed to say anything about the structural status of a house. For that, you really need an engineer. And that is a really big difference. And I just want to add that.
Okay, so, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, and Stefano, any sort of towns, not sort of big expensive cities, but that you might suggest?
Well, I mean, it's sort of, if you're going in winter time, it's a reason we suggest that you want to be going up towards, I don't know, Trentino, Alto Adige, Aosta region, that sort of area, because if you're going in winter, hopefully you're a skier, you can go out and ski, and you'll again get the nightlife that goes with the skiing. That's my view. If you're going in winter, I wouldn't be going to Rome. I wouldn't be going to Florence and places like that, because it's horrible. I mean, you know, the first sign of a snowflake and the snow chains come out, and it's horrible. I would, if you're going winter, go to a proper region, which is, you know, it's right for that sort of thing. So a ski region, basically.
Yeah, and actually, the same questioner, K.O., flags up an interesting subject which we only skimmed over. She said she's also looked at Sicily for winter warmth, but the flights, direct flights from the UK after October are tricky. So that, you know, flight access is an issue, isn't it? I know that flights to some of the summer places like Sardinia and Sicily, they are quite seasonal. But I think you can fly to Puglia all year, and Pescara, and can't you?
I mean, you could fly to the mainland and get a train across or get a boat across. But I mean, you can fly to Palermo most of the year.
Yes, Palermo. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Messina.
Yes.
I'm not sure about Messina, but I've only ever flown into Palermo once or twice. But I think it's an all-year-round airport.
Yeah, there's also the airport in the east as well that whose name escapes me. But okay, well, flights are an issue sometimes. And have you noticed any flights be cut since Brexit, Nathania, to Pescara? Have the volume of flights dropped or anything with Ryanair?
Volume has dropped a little, but they just adjusted the number of flights. So you can still fly here. That's not a problem. You can still go here. But also to other places of Italy, because yeah, from England you can easily go to Italy to have a look, to walk around.
Yeah, I mean the good thing about Italy is you're never that far from any from an
exactly,
airport.
There are airports everywhere.
So okay, we're going to whiz through a few questions actually. Inevitably, a couple of them ask about the Brexit status. I mean, we don't really know about the status of Brits and healthcare and lots of issues next year. But I mean, our rights to buy a property won't be affected at all, will they?
No.
So that's a positive.
No. No, there is no reciprocity required to buy in Italy. Oh, that's not true, actually. There is reciprocity required, because if you're Indian, for example, I've got a couple of Indian clients, they live in England, but they don't have English nationality, only one nationality is Indian. They can't buy individually, they're having to buy through a company, and we're having to set up a company with them. So there is reciprocity. I correct myself on that point.
But I mean, basically, you know, you can try and buy before Brexit or you can buy after, but it's not really going to make much difference. No. In terms of, you know, Americans can buy, as we've got a question from Craig Barnes says, can you own a home in Italy being American? Yes, George Clooney, lots and lots of Americans own property. Do you need to live there at least a certain number of months, or can you be there 3 months a year? Well,
depends what you want, I suppose.
Yeah.
If you want to become resident, you have to live there at least 90 days, and within that 90 days apply for your residenza, and then after 182 days, wherever you are in the world, you become tax resident there. Depends what you want, second home, or do you want a prima casa as your main residence?
Yes, exactly. A question we only skimmed, we didn't really touch on Liguria. I mean, I've briefly been there. Bordighera, Ospedaletti, Imperia. Anyone know what winter's like in this area?
Wet and damp. It's the Cinque Terre area, and the Cinque Terre has been ruined, unfortunately, by people from all over the world coming, and it's a historic site by UNESCO or whatever. It's a great site for walking. Liguria is the garden of Italy, and it's where many English people go, because it's very close to the Kent coast, very close in similarity to the Kent coast and that sort of thing. But Lies Imperia, Savona, Genoa, of course, beautiful city. But it's wet and it's damp, and it goes right down to the bone, Liz, in winter.
Okay. Nathania, is there, Christy asks, is there any other transportation methods besides driving from Rome to the Abruzzo Molise region?
Of course. The best way to do that is by bus. There are several private bus lines from the airport Fiumicino or in Rome. You can go directly to Abruzzo. If people are interested, please send me a message and I can write the type of bus lines, because it also depends if you want to go to the north of Abruzzo or the south. It depends on the prices, but about for 10 or 15 euros you book your bus tickets and you have a coffee, you get your sweets, you have everything, Wi-Fi. It's very relaxed, and it's only a 2-hour drive from Rome to the coast of Abruzzo. Okay. So within an hour you are in Abruzzo. It's really close.
Thank you. Yes. Sonia, we've touched on this. Sonia Richards says, which parts of Italy are less liable to have earthquakes? Well, you mentioned the coast, didn't you, Stefano?
Yeah, anywhere along the coastlines is the best region to buy. Strangely enough, the west of the Apennines suffers less than the centre of the Apennines going to the east of the Apennines.
Okay.
If you buy anywhere along along the western seaboard, which borders the Mediterranean, you're less likely, I mean, Florence, Grosseto on that coastline, Viareggio, all the way down to Rome, very little it's the centre of
Tuscany.
the Apennines to the east that suffers the most.
That's right.
Oh, and those are the expensive areas you've already alluded to. Yes. Okay. This one's having to come to you, Nathania, because it's very much related to your. Lots of properties in Puglia come with olive groves. I know yours is not, but can this land be sold?
Yes. Yes, of course. Yeah, it depends what you want. Most of the times people prefer to have an olive grove, but if you buy it together, you can also ask a local farmer, please take care of my olive grove, and at
Yes.
least you can pick your olives and make your own olive oil.
Yes.
Right now we start raccogliere.
The
We
harvest.
start
Yes.
harvesting right now, and it is a wonderful experience to make your own olive oil. It has a
Yes.
smell and it's really good. But if you
Yeah.
don't want it because you don't want to take care of it, you can ask a local farmer to take care of it, or you can just sell it or not buy it. Also that you can do. You can do a bit only for the house without the land.
Yeah,
So
and I've heard of
depends.
schemes where they sell pieces of vineyard and manage the winemaking process for you.
Yeah,
A
it's
question.
wonderful.
We're going to whiz through a couple of before we run out of time. You mentioned Sardinia, Nathania, that you've been selling some property there.
Yes.
Ashley Mask said she's struggling to find properties on complexes with a pool, very much the sort of thing that we Brits buy in Spain. But there isn't so much of that, is there, in Italy? Full stop. Do you know of any such things in Sardinia?
Well, there are some, but he is right, there are not so many. But most people prefer to buy a house where you just make your own swimming pool.
Yes.
And about the idea that an own swimming pool always has to be very expensive. If you want it really in concrete, things like that, you spend more. But you also have the possibility to do a swimming pool on the ground, above the ground. And that costs €1,000, and then you have a big swimming pool. And so there are a lot of possibilities. You can also put it in the ground. So most people prefer that instead of a complex with a shared swimming pool.
Yeah,
but there are.
Okay. Yeah,
I've seen swimming pools, Liz. The above ground ones don't need permission as such, but the below ground ones need. You can only build a swimming pool, one, if you've got enough land size, and it's usually no less than 5,000 square meters, and you can't build a swimming pool too close to a board. What do you call it? A border, yes, with somebody else. So you have to be very careful. In the south of Italy, and I've experienced lots of them, people buy in Puglia, especially with swimming pools, and find that they're illegal. And then you have to go for retrospective consent, or as one client had to do last month, he had to build a mountain over it of soil and cover it all in because they wouldn't accept it anyway. So you just have to get rid of it, basically. So be careful.
Okay, great. And do either of you know about Udine or Udine? Udine. Right. Yes. Lucy Stern says, do you know, what can you say about it? Is it good to buy there?
Don't know anything about Udine, really.
Where is it?
We're talking about Udine is in Marche, or is it north of Marche? The Marche. Are we talking about Emilia Romagna? I can't remember which one it is.
Yes. Okay. Well, yes, we'll try and help. We'll maybe you can message one of the panel afterwards and get some more information on that.
Yes. I see all those questions we can't answer right now.
Yeah, Italy's a huge place. I mean, the B word again. How do you think Brexit will affect buying property in Italy? Prices? I mean, who knows? I mean, prices are dropping in many places with their economies all over the world are having problems. So we have to wait and see, don't we? In terms of that.
I'm not sure prices are really dropping.
In some locations they are, but not in your area. Yeah.
What we see in Italy is that the prices in the bigger cities, they are dropping, but the prices in the rural areas, they stay the same, or they are getting higher. So it is a good moment to have a look at a rural area, because also because of COVID, people just appreciate the, yeah.
All right, yeah, no, there's an appetite.
Just a quickie. Udine is in Friuli. It's right next to Yugoslavia.
Right.
Right. Stop. Sorry, interrupting. It's right next to Veneto, and yes, it's an industrial.
Yes, I
an
thought
industrial
I'd
area.
heard
It's
of
not
it.
a holiday place. It's an industrial area. Udine. It's where they make steel and things like that.
Okay, all right. Right, here's the question. We are unsure whether to buy in Abruzzo or Puglia. Would corruption make people more likely to buy in Abruzzo?
Absolutely, that's a big difference. Yeah, but you can also buy in Puglia, and we always do a proper search and research when we are about to buy a house, with all the checks, all the legal checks, and the constructional checks. But it is more safer in Abruzzo than in Puglia, but both can be managed. It is important that you know your risk before you buy. That is important. So do a good survey. That's the biggest thing to say. Yeah.
Okay. And I think we've got time for one more question. I know you know Venice well, Stefano. Ross Wilmer asked, what's it like to live in Venice as against visiting? I mean, I remember covering it that there are certain areas that are much more sort of local residential versus tourist places, aren't there?
Yes, I mean, there are places towards the station, and behind the station, the ghetto, which are more Venetian owners, as local owners. The foreigners, as it were, go more towards Rialto, towards St. Mark's Square, and those areas. Although, having said that, Liz, the ghetto area, Cannaregio and ghetto areas, are becoming much more popular now with, especially people with Judaic backgrounds, because they're retracing their history there, and they want to buy in those areas. You can find some great deals, which are not the 800s, the millions, maybe 150, 200,000, small. You don't expect too much, but you can find them.
Great, brilliant. Well, look, we've run out of time here, but we're going to be talking about lots more aspects of the nitty-gritty of buying in Italy at this time tomorrow. So do come and tune in again for that session. You can also book one-to-one Zoom sessions or contact our panelists directly to get some more detail on any of that or anything we haven't managed to cover. So yes, if we just remind Stefano, your Cobalt Law, and people can book a session with you. I think, are you still having some sessions on our
yeah, always available. Yes,
brilliant. And Nathania from Abruzzo Casa, you sell. Just remind, which areas are your core areas, Nathania?
Well, because I live in Abruzzo, in Pescara, we started the agency in Abruzzo, but right now we cover whole of Italy. So it's still a little bit in the name, Abruzzo Casa Italy, but we have a new name, Italian Property International. So we are really covering whole of Italy right now, but my specialty stays Abruzzo.
Okay, all right. Well, look, thank you very much. I hope we've given you a few inspiring ideas. Hope if we haven't managed to get to every single question, we apologize, but there'll be another chance tomorrow. So thank you, Stefano. Thank you, Nathania, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow. Okay.
Absolutely.